Robert Pearigen, I call you forward to accept the charge of the Board of Trustees and to affirm your commitment to lead this community of learning to the best of your abilities. Dr. Pearigen, please place your left hand on this historic Bible that belonged to Reuben Webster Millsaps, the founder of this college. Robert Pearigen, on behalf of the Board of Trustees, I charge you to fulfill your obligations vested in the office of President of Millsaps College by the charter and bylaws of this college. To promote a learning environment that encourages open inquiry and independent critical thinking. To engage the faculty, staff, and students in forging a sense of community on campus and a commitment to communities beyond this campus. To support the college's United Methodist affiliation, interfaith religious life, and history of ethical commitment, to honor the vital heritage of Millsaps College, to institute new traditions for its future, and to undertake innovative programs in the pursuit of excellence. Do you accept this charge?
I do.
At this time, I call former Millsaps presidents Dr. Ed Collins, Mr. Howard McMillan to the podium to assist with the presentation of the Medallion of Office. And now I present to you the Medallion of Office representing the authority vested in you as president by the charter and bylaws of Millsaps College. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the 11th president of Millsaps College, Dr. Robert W. Pearigen.
Thank you very much. Lieutenant Governor Bryant, Governor Winter, Mayor Johnson and officials of our city and state, Presidents Collins and McMillan, Vice Chancellors Ayers, Williamson, and Cunningham, Bishops Ward and Gray, Chairman Hall and the members of the Board of Trustees, presidents and delegates from colleges, universities, and learned societies, devoted alumni, faculty, staff, and students, and family and friends. As many members of the Millsaps community have already discovered, bringing me on board as president meant getting frequent lessons in classical political theory. So it will come as no surprise to you or to my friends from Sewanee that I begin my remarks with the 4th century philosopher Plato. In the search for the meaning of justice, Plato offered the following dialogue between his mentor Socrates and a citizen of Athens named Glaucon. Tell me, asked Glaucon, is there in your opinion a kind of good that we should choose to have not because we desire its consequences, but because we delight in it for its own sake, such as enjoyment and all the pleasures which are harmless and leave no after effects other than the enjoyment in having them? In my opinion, at least, said Socrates, yes, there is that kind of good. And what about this, Glaucon asked? Is there a kind of good we like both for its own sake and for what comes of it, such as thinking and seeing and being healthy? Surely we delight in these things on both accounts. Yes, said Socrates. And do you see a third form of good, inquires Glaucon, which includes gymnastic exercise, medical treatment when sick, and the rest of the activities which come from with money is made. We say that they are drudgery but beneficial to us, and we would not choose to have them for themselves, but for the sake of wages and whatever else may come of them. Yes, said Socrates, there is that third kind of good. But what of it? Well, asked Glaucon, in which of these would you include justice? I, for my part, said Socrates, suppose it belongs to the finest kind of good. which the man who is blessed should like both for itself and for what comes of it. 6,000 years later, Socrates continues to remind us that the finest kind of good is that which has value both in and of itself and for what comes of it. A good that has both intrinsic value and extrinsic meaning. A good that we should seek for its deeply personal and inherent value, as well as for its purpose and utility. While framed in the context of the search for justice, I believe this formula of the good applies also to liberal arts education, the kind of education that promotes learning for its own personal meaning and sake, as well as for the purposeful benefit to the individual and to the society. The kind of education, I believe, that was at the heart of the founder's vision for Millsaps College 120 years ago, that has characterized its essence ever since, and will be essential to our strength and influence in the years to come. And because I believe that liberal arts education is fundamentally transformative to individuals and crucial to society, and because Millsaps is at its best an exemplar of liberal arts education as preparation for a good and worthy life, it is my high privilege to accept the position and formally begin my service as the 11th president of this remarkable college. It's also my privilege and pleasure to be installed as president in the presence of my dear family, Phoebe, Carolyn, and Wesley, my parents and my brothers, in the company of so many wonderful friends, devoted friends from the past who touched me deeply by your presence here today, and friends and colleagues in this new chapter of my family's life here in Jackson, Mississippi. I want to give special thanks to my friend John Meacham, who honors this place and privileges me by offering the inauguration address this morning. 20 years ago this fall, when John was a student at Sewanee and I was the dean there, I wrote a letter of recommendation for him to graduate school. In that letter, you won't be surprised, I quoted Plato. I quoted Plato's definition of courage to describe one of John's greatest characteristics. Courage, said Plato, is not, despite the dominant view of the time, chiefly about military valor and heroics on the battlefield. Rather, it is about maintaining one's convictions in the face of formidable challenge and in opposition to popular opinion. Courage, quoting Plato, is a kind of preserving, the preserving of opinion and not casting it out in pains and pleasures and desires and fears. It's like a color-fast dye that cannot be washed away by those lies and soaps so terribly effective at scouring. John, you are one of the most courageous thought leaders of today. I appreciate your wise and influential voice in our national arena and on our campus this morning. Thank you, my friend. I also want to express my appreciation, my gratitude to Chairman Maurice Hall and the Board of Trustees for your confidence, to the leaders and people of Jackson for so warmly embracing my family and me at every turn and reminding me of the importance of this college to this city and to this state, to the hundreds of Millsaps alumni who have offered their enthusiastic welcome, and especially this morning to the alumni representing classes going back to 1935. I'm touched by this profoundly visible support from the alumni community. Thank you so much. To the students and staff of the college who have shown incredible enthusiasm and commitment over the past few months as we've begun our life together, with a special word this morning of thanks to Nola Gibson and the Inauguration team, and which represents individuals from across every division in the college, as well as volunteers from across the city. They've worked so hard to plan this beautiful occasion. And I also want to thank David Wilkinson and his team. With a wonderful spirit, they have made this campus, our buildings, and our home on Peachtree Street so beautiful for the day. So thank you, David and Nola and that great group that has helped put this together. And finally, I want to thank the faculty. The faculty has demonstrated a level of dedication and ambition for this institution and encouragement and support of me that most college presidents could only dream of. And I look forward to working with you in the years ahead. Thank you so much for your support. Our faculty and staff are unequivocally committed to Millsaps as a community of scholars in pursuit of excellence. Together with the alumni, the Board of Trustees, and all who love Millsaps, we will advance this institution in the years ahead. To do so will mean boldly telling the story of our outstanding and courageous past, articulating and ensuring the success of a compelling vision for the future. From her beginning, and with the inspired leadership of the founders Reuben Millsaps, Charles Galloway, and William Murrow, the story of Millsaps College has been one of academic excellence, enlightened and generous access for those who could not afford private education, and for those whose gender precluded them from enrollment in many of the most prestigious all-male colleges in the country. Helen Hargrave Cabell, representing this morning the class of 1935, is a beautiful reminder of the legacy of women students, women leaders, who have made Millsaps a part of their life, and they are part of the Millsaps story. Ms. Cabell, I salute you and extend my heartfelt appreciation for your presence today. Millsaps' story is also one of a church-related institution in which the principles of Methodist faith and the Wesleyan tradition have reinforced the value of a broad-based education in light of reason and faith, as matters of religious faith have and always will profoundly shape the human experience. It has stood us in good stead to have a context for discussing these matters and for creating a common ground on which dialogue may occur and relationships may be built. And certainly our story is one of courage during the Civil Rights Movement, when Millsaps students, professors, board members, and alumni were instrumental in our college being the first all-white, public or private, college or university in the state to voluntarily admit African Americans. We celebrated our leading role in history yesterday when Mr. Meacham participated in a panel discussion that included leaders of the Civil Rights Movement, Governor William Winter, President Leslie McLemore, alumnus Gene Luckett, and author Jerry Mitchell. It is a personal privilege to have had this conversation with these brave Americans as part of this inauguration activities. Today's story of Millsaps is no less focused on principle and progress, no less committed to our abiding character as an institution and a community of scholars pursuing excellence in all that we do. We have a stellar academic program provided by a nationally acclaimed faculty, a deeply caring faculty, and by a staff that understands the inextricable and enormously important connection between academic and extracurricular life, and between the role of the mind and the heart in personal growth and transformation. We have a curriculum that through our traditional core courses, our comprehensive disciplines, and our progressive interdisciplinary areas of study highlight the values and essential ingredients of a liberal arts tradition and exposes our students to the best that higher education has to offer. But while committed to core values and classical learning, we're also mindful of advances in thought and information. And we challenge our students to question assumptions and take intellectual risks. In this vein, I've always loved the words of John Milton from his treatise Areopagitica, written in 1644. Milton said, "I cannot praise a fugitive and cloistered virtue, unexercised and unbreathed, that never sullies out and sees her adversary, but slinks out of the race where that immortal garland is to be run for, and not without heat and dust." We encourage our students to undertake this race and this intellectual journey during this rare moment in their lives, when they are at their greatest freedom to explore, when their identity is still being shaped, and when their future is limitless. In these ways, we promote the intrinsic pleasures of learning and philosophical reflection that are essential to a thoughtful life, essential to what chemist and philosopher Michael Polanyi calls a program of self-identification in which our beliefs are brought to light and our self-doubts are conquered. At Millsaps, our education is indeed a program of self-identification and a platform for personal growth. But here there's also a value added, for we have woven into this tapestry of curricular and extracurricular threads that position our students for meaningful result-oriented lives after college, for careers that have significance, for making a difference in the world they will inherit and lead. From our distinctive international education opportunities that take not only half our students but half our faculty to the far corners of the world, including Vietnam, Tanzania, Albania, Israel, Italy, and our very own 4,000-acre biocultural reserve in the Yucatan Peninsula, to our extraordinary business program, the business education program, approached through the liberal arts and extending to boardrooms and factory floors of businesses in this country and in cities in Latin America and throughout Eastern and Central Europe, that is training our future business leaders for productive, entrepreneurial, and ethical careers. To our pre-professional initiatives that provide eye-opening career possibilities for our students and connect them, for example, to leaders in state and local government whose offices are just a few blocks south of this campus, to educators and practitioners in the field of medicine whose labs and hospital rooms are across the street just to our north. To our meaningful community service activities that open our hearts and hands to the needs of others, including our neighbors just across West Street, and make a powerful impact on those who serve as well as those whom we serve. To our leadership development programs in residence halls along sorority row and fraternity row and in the fields and courts of our athletics. What I'm describing then is an institution that develops worthy habits of heart and mind that is a model of liberal arts education as meaningful and transformative in and of itself and as valuable preparation for a life of learning, life of leadership, life of achievement, life of service. I believe that Millsaps at its best is a modern-day representation of the transformative path of philosophy, which is a path of education offered by my, now you won't be surprised, frequently invoked philosopher Plato. In his well-known allegory of the cave in Book 7 of the Republic, Plato analogizes the philosophical and educational process to an arduous journey in which through revelation and reason, and with the compelling assistance of a wise and principled teacher, a person makes his way out of the shadows and pretentious illusions of a cave and into a world where genuine beauty and justice are found and where a transcendent reality behind and before all things may be known. Plato says of this transforming experience, this is not then the twirling of a shell, but the turning of the soul around from a day which is like night to the true day. Plato was right. In the end, this process of turning, growth, and transformation, this process of education through grace, reason, instruction, and experience is not something inconsequential, but something fundamental and powerful. The turning of the soul, heart and mind around from a day which is like night to true day. The Millsaps story is one of education as transformation. It's a story still in the making and one that demands a compelling vision for the future. That vision, our guiding image of success, will be, as it always has been, one of excellence as we strive to make ever stronger the quality and value of this experience. But I believe that vision that is coming into focus will also feature a Millsaps College that is more nationally recognized and influential leader in distinctive areas of excellence. A Millsaps College that plays an increasingly prominent role in this city, the state, and this region. A Millsaps College that is one of the most beautiful urban campuses in the country. A Millsaps College that embraces its historic relationship with the Methodist Church and uses that heritage to promote freedom of thought, reflection on the most important questions in life, and advancement of the virtues extolled by the prophet Micah to do justice, to love mercy, and to walk humbly before our God. And finally, a Millsaps College that transforms her students and sends them forth with a high sense of honor, an abiding loyalty to their alma mater, and a commitment to change the world for the better. Our story is still in the making, and while its past and present chapters provide a firm foundation, The next chapter is unwritten, and every person who loves this place has a role in the narrative to come. Ultimately, our success as a community of scholars in pursuit of excellence depends on the support of all and will be judged by how well we educate our students in the liberal arts, how well we do in transforming hearts and minds that will lead to good and meaningful lives. I conclude with the words of St. Paul from his letter to the Philippians, words that reflect the finest kind of good, a good that blesses us for what it is and for what it does. Finally, beloved, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is pleasing, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, and if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things. Keep on doing the things you have learned and received and heard in me, and the God of peace will be with you. Thank you.